Let's go. It's time. Put on.
All right, here we go. Episode 59. Away we go. People are shocked. Another episode. It was just like 4 or 5 in a row for episode 59. 59 podcasts with Rod Ryan, Jason Ginty, the Play Pants podcast. Available anywhere you get your podcasts. And on our YouTube channel, you can watch this whole disaster on our YouTube page. Just search out at Play Pants Pod on all the socials as well. Rod, one of the things I think people enjoy about our podcast, and I'm just guessing, of course, but I think that we give them the behind the curtain stuff. We give them, like, you work in radio, I work in radio, and I think people are fascinated or at least curious about what makes it tick. And we spend a lot of time talking about music, why we play the same shit over and over again, all that stuff on this podcast throughout the last year and a half.
Yes.
So I don't want this to come off as like, no. You're so cool. I'm sharing with the class today because something very cool did happen to me today. And it has to do with radio. And it's one of those weird moments that I was just like, no way. And I don't know, like, when you interview a band, you had Chris Martin recently, you said, and you talk to people all the time. You talked to Bono, you did that whole thing. Like, yeah. It almost doesn't matter who you get Jacoby from Papa Roach. You get excited, right? You still get excited about these things?
I do. I get excited and I prep for them, which is something that a lot of people don't do anymore. So I over prep for them.
Yeah. And you have to, and one of the greatest interviewing techniques is listen to the person you're talking to, because you might have your list of questions and most guys in the business will just jump to the next question. They're not listening. You know what I mean? So, and you're very good at that. One of your strengths that I've always said is that you're a very good interviewer. And that's always been your thing. In fact, I made a suggestion years ago that, you know what? You should be doing like inside the actor's studio where they would sit down with all the actors, and you should be doing it for like music and just fucking an hour of you and you're stacking note cards and just rifling through all these great questions. What was your first bike?
You were a tree. Well, thank you. Yeah, I like doing interviews, but I get nervous. I get nervous every one. I work myself up as I'm prepping for them. I don't know. I always go in freaked out, you know, and I think that's a good thing, though. You know, I mean, not to be freaked out, but I'm never so relaxed that it's like, we'll just see how it goes. You know, I don't leave anything to chance.
Well, and I think you've done this long enough, is you don't want to ask the same stupid question. You have to ask some of the same ones because your audience doesn't know the answer that they gave in, Dubuque, Iowa. You know what I mean? Like, you have to ask sometimes the same questions. So anyway, I had this great moment today, and this wasn't even an interview. I get a text. Hey, man, this dude's going to call you in about 20 minutes on your cell phone. And he just wants to talk to you. He wants to talk about you returning to the radio station, New Orleans, alternative radio. He wants to talk about his band and all this shit. I'm like, really? Wow. I love that band. So at 3:00 on the nose, by the way, that's how professional this guy is. Brent Smith from Shinedown gives me a call.
Like, really?
He's like, hey, Ginty, Brent Smith, Shinedown. I went, this is cool, man. I'm trying not to fangirl out, right?
Now, hang on. He's calling you on your cell phone. This is not on the air.
You can record it for an interview if you want, but I just want to talk to you and shoot the shit and get reacquainted and talk a little radio, talk a little rock and roll. And I'm like, okay, cool. Dude, we're talking like me and you were talking right now. It's just a back and forth. Talked about COVID, touring, how touring is exploding around the country right now, and every band is going out, and and he gave me some great insight. He goes, one of the problems right now is if you're planning a tour with a band, he goes, there's like a 1.5 year wait to get a tour bus. No one thinks about that, right? You can't get a damn tour bus right now because there's such a wait. He goes, it's the same with anything else. There's only so many bus drivers. There's only so many buses, and everyone's out because they got to earn for their bands, their families, and their crews. And he's like, we got to get out there, but a lot of guys are getting stuck. There's no way to get out. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even think about that. So if your favorite band ain't on the road, that's what's up. Great dude. We talked, he was asking about me, and he's like, yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm like, years ago when their single Second Chance was coming out, he came into the studio when I was in the biz back then, did an acoustic set, hung out, pictures and stuff.
That's one of the few bands that will wake up early. They'll go to a radio station. I mean, I'm sure you were probably doing afternoons, but they've come in and done morning radio before. And it's one thing to do a phone call and phoner with the dumb morning guy, but those guys, they would come in, bring a guitar, they would jam, they would play. And it's not easy, the last thing you want to do at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning is like, sing your ass off. But they do that. They get it. They've always been so good. Like we'll use this term, they get radio. Like, what does that mean? They get radio. They still appreciate radio and they appreciate the radio airplay. And we've kind of talked about that a little bit. I told you how Bono, when, going back to Bono's interview, he sat down with all those program directors and he said, we want to be on the radio.
Yeah.
That's important to us. We want to be on you're like, why would you two care at this point? But Brent and Shinedown, they've always been a great radio friendly band. Always great to deal with. Never divas. No. I've never had one incident with those guys. I mean, ever. And they've played 100 shows here.
Yeah, he was just regular dude on the phone and very cool. And of course, I'm trying to be cool. And, like, I'm in this business because I love the music. I love all of it. I love the whole idea of everything we do. So I got the fanboy out for a little while. And just because it wasn't an interview, I guess got to shoot the shit with a guy and talk to him. And actually, it's probably one of the best interviews I've ever done in my life because I wasn't trying to interview.
Dummy.
No, it was on my cell phone and, whatever. But it took the pressure off. It was really kind of cool. And he was saying about like, during COVID lockdown, when it first went down, right? And this is just to give you some insight about the band business out there in the world. We all had to deal with it in our own way. A lot of people lost jobs, businesses went under. He said, when they, back at the very beginning, when they said, okay, we're shutting down for like 15 days, whatever the deal was, he goes, I recognized right then and there that this was going to be a lot longer than 15 days. It ended up being 15 months or whatever, right? And he said, after a couple of days went by, he went, okay, wait a minute. I've got a crew of about 40 people that make Shinedown happen. He's got 40 people that work on the road when they go out on tour. That's a lot of people to be dealing with lights and all management, all that crap.
That's their livelihood. That's their jobs. That's their paycheck.
If they're not touring, you don't get paid. So he immediately went, and this was brilliant. This is how great this guy was in thinking of this. He goes, the second they went out and got they signed up his 40 guys, his crew for loans. He took out loans for the band, just to get his crew paid for the foreseeable future when COVID hit a year and a half ago. Those guys aren't rich. You know what I mean? Like I told him, I said, look, I'm sure Elton John was okay. I'm sure Eddie Vedder was okay financially throughout COVID, but it's all the guys that work underneath these guys. And he goes, oh, absolutely. He goes, a lot of guys are fine. He goes, but you'd be surprised how many bands out there that you hear on the radio aren't exactly killing it because there's no record sales anymore. And he goes, without touring, we can't earn. You know what I mean? I'm like, Jesus. So he said, you'd be surprised how many bands just said, fuck you to their crews. Just said, oh, I can't pay you because I'm not working. So suck it. And he was surprised. He lost friends in the biz because of it.
I believe it. Like he was one of the first guys that now you're kind of bringing back all these memories. It's hard to think about when the pandemic first hit. When it hit me was when you said, okay, we're going to stop the spread and we're just going to 14 days and then we'll be fine. Remember that? It was like, let's just take a couple of weeks off. Let's just not go out. Let's just I remember there was a graphic going around like a meme or something, but it showed like a match, lighting the match next to it. And it was this succession of matches and you pulled one match out and the matches stopped burning because they couldn't reach the next match. And that was the example. Let's all stay in for 2 weeks. So I remember that time, and we're always talking in terms of how people are dealing. There's with your mental state and what's going on with people and how they're feeling because it was a weird time, and it hadn't really even kicked in yet. But I remember setting up a couple of people that I wanted to talk to. It's like, hey, everyone's kind of freaked out right now. People are a little worried. Brent was one of the guys that I wanted to talk to because he's such a positive guy. He's almost like a motivational speaker. you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And same thing with Justin from Blue October. And obviously we have a totally next level relationship with him. But those were two of the guys that I got on early on. And, you know, and they both dealt with things in their past, and they're very open. And I mean, Justin's the best at it. He's like a camp counselor. But I've always really been inspired by Brent. And, you know, he turned things around, and those guys started working out and doing the P90X and the Insanity workouts, and they changed their lives around. And he's a really good motivator. So that's probably the last time I talked to him was a couple of years ago, right when the panty was just starting to get rolling. And I brought him on just not so much to talk about the band. We got into a little of that stuff, but it was just, hey, man, how do you stay motivated every day? Tell me what you do. And he was the right guy for that type of interview.
Yeah. And that's what he was talking about with me. He's like, look, man, I just, you know, I want to get, he goes, and to back it up a little bit, I just said, hey, Brent, look, you know, when I got the text, I went down on YouTube and I went down a Shinedown rabbit hole for a little while, you know, because I wanted to at least kind of get my brain wrapped around who I was going to talk to, you know. And you watch some of those old videos, he's got the long hair, he's fat. I mean, there's no way of cutting it up. He's a big dude.
Well, he got big.
Fat. Yeah, he got big.
And that was, I mean, he still always could sing his balls off, though. I mean, he was like Meatloaf up there singing.
That's exactly what he looked like for a while. And then he started working out, eating right. And I talked to him. I said, hey, look, man, I go, not that we're the same. I said, but a couple of years ago, I quit drinking, quit eating meat, and started running and exercising and all the shit. And I said, dude, one of the things I realized right away was by stopping all that stuff, my brain started to work a lot better. I'm not that smart of a guy. So I need every ounce of opportunity I can get. So I'm like, I just felt a lot more energized. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, dude, it was life-changing. He goes, when I stopped doing all that shit, he goes, I'm 5'8". I was like at 260 or something. He goes, I'm a little guy. He goes, you do the math. I'm like, yeah, that's really big. So great conversation.
The whole band got on board. Those guys are pretty tight. They're all pals.
Yep.
They've all been in it together, and that band has, you know, they've been through a lot. And they all started that whole insanity working out on the road. And they all got fucking shredded for a while.
Well, like he said, he goes, look, man, he goes, he's born in 78, so I can't do that math, but you know, he's 40 something years old. He goes, you know, this is a young man's game. And he goes, I got energy. I go, dude, I said, I could run circles around guys in their 30s now. I said, just because I'm taking care of myself a little better. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, you know, if you want to do this for the long run, you got to take care of the biz. Like, so anyway, very cool conversation. I just want to let you know, I'm not trying to brag. Oh, Mr. Program Director, oh, you're cool now. It was just like, I love those behind the scenes opportunities that we get to share, you know, because it is neat. It's cool. And I told him, I said, well, next time you're in New Orleans, hit me up. He's not gonna. But
you guys can have like some
salad.
Carrot. Hey, hit me up, bro. We'll go out for some lettuce. And
he's like, I fucking love New Orleans. I'm like, yeah. I go, if you come to town, we're not going out to eat, obviously. He goes, no, we'll go for a run. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. So anyway, it was cool, man. And just, you know, you don't have to love Shinedown to respect the story and the fact that the guy preaches. You listen to his damn songs. He's talking about positivity in them, really, a lot of them.
Did the opening act come up at all? Jelly Roll?
He mentioned them on their tour they're going out with, but I didn't really get into all that. We didn't talk his band hardly at all. It was great. It was weird.
Yeah.
He was
when we first started, because they're on tour with Jelly Roll, they're coming here. We've been giving away tickets, but you know, we started giving away tickets months ago.
Right.
And everybody that was calling in to win tickets, now Shinedown is like a house band for us. They have, when I say they've done 1 million shows for the Buzz and been on probably 10 Buzz Fests, and you get to know them, you know, like you get to know them after a while. There's a couple of bands that are, you know, on that same tier, like Papa Roach and Seether. Like you kind of know these guys, you know, because they come around so much. And so when we start giving away tickets, people love Shinedown. And Brent will tell you, because it was the Carnival of Souls tour. It was the first one when he was heavy. And that's a band that kind of got their break in Florida, even though they're not from there. But you would think that that would be like their biggest market, the band where they, they're playing in clubs first and little small stages. And then, usually like wherever the band is from, that's like their biggest market. And not true with them, man. Houston is their biggest market. And he knows this. We packaged up that Carnival of Souls tour, and we probably were doing a promotion with maybe Bud, and we called it, I think that's when we started doing the Bud Light Winnie Roast. And just by calling it a different name and us getting behind it and doing everything, we put 13,000 people in that venue, and that tour was doing 4,500 people.
Wow.
He comes to Houston and he's playing. I mean, you see the difference now. In Florida, they're playing 4,500 people on the reg, 5,000, 6,000 on a great night.
Right.
They're playing to 12,000 people in Houston on the same tour.
That's awesome.
It's just a different thing,
Yeah.
Creed is another Florida band. When a band does a DVD, you can do it in your hometown. I mean, the Goo Goo Dolls, when they recorded their live album, it was live in Buffalo. They were playing outside in front of City Hall. They chose their hometown to do their live album from. That makes sense.
Right.
Creed puts out their live DVD, their concert album. Where's it from? Houston. It's their biggest market.
Which, nothing against Houston, but
bizarre.
There's no like sexy background, like Red Rocks. You get
Correct.
Red Rocks. You could do something cool in New Orleans. There's a lot of different places. Your hometown, I get it.
They knew they were going to pack it. They knew that the people loved them. They knew they would get people singing along to every song, and that's why they chose it. But Shinedown is one of those bands that people just love seeing them every time. So I brought up Jelly Roll because when we first started giving away tickets, people were saying, "Man, I'm a huge Jelly Roll fan," knowing that everybody loses their mind for Shinedown here.
Right.
People are saying, I'm like, who the fuck is this Jelly Roll guy? What's going on now? I'm to the point on the radio, I don't have to act like I know more than everybody. And it's so painfully obvious that I don't know more than anybody. And I just said, guys, you're going to have to teach me. I don't know who the fuck Jelly Roll is. Okay. And man, the phones rang and they're like, let me tell you about Jelly Roll, Rod.
Wow.
So we spent a good chunk of the morning learning about Jelly Roll and listening to his songs and playing them on the air. And holy shit, Jelly Roll is unbelievable. He's a country artist. He's a rock artist. He's a crossover guy. He doesn't look like he sounds. He looks like nobody else out there. Face tattoos. He's been in prison, sang at the Grand Ole Opry. This guy is a fucking unit, and he can sing his balls off. He's great, dude. Jelly Roll. You got to listen to him.
All right. I'll check it out. Dude, this conversation started really wildly tonight. I mean, we had a plan. We had a way to go, and we threw it in the trash. We started the way we wanted to. Yeah, well, there you go. We actually want to talk about something that we all did, something that I thought, it just hit me this morning. I'm like, man, I spent a lot of money on dumb shit. And it got me thinking. I'm like, wait, doesn't everybody? Like, and I brought it to your attention. I'm like, look, like I've got an old car. So if they call me up and I'm getting some work done on it, they're like, hey, you need brakes. Okay, put them on the car. I don't ask the price. I don't give a shit because it's my car, dude. It's my thing. It's what I love. But
you're not doing that stuff yourself.
I'm not taking on a project like brakes, dude, because I'll fuck it up. And you fuck up brakes, guess what? I don't stop. I smash into something.
Okay.
Little things I'll do.
Know that you're just a little monkey wrench guy.
Dude, I'm busy talking to Brent Smith from Shinedown. I can't be changing fucking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot.
Okay.
Program director, big boss.
Here we go. So, but if I'm in the grocery store buying rolls of paper towels, dude, I'll go up and down that aisle looking to save a dime. and it got me to thinking, like, we all do those same stupid things. You got your things, like, and forget about kids. Like, my kid asks me for something, I'll buy it for him, or I'll say, hey, dude, that's a little bit more expensive. Birthday's coming up, but take the kid out of it. What is it that you will fucking don't care about price within reason? And then what do you try to really, what is it that you really scrimp on and you really save and you freak out when it comes to it?
I mean, it's amazing to me. My inner circle tends to think that I'm pretty cheap, that I'm a pretty cheap guy.
Really?
And yeah, they just don't think that I treat myself enough. I'm not comfortable. I buy whatever I need, I get. Sure. And I buy things So this year, for some reason, and I don't, for whatever reason, I don't have the NFL ticket. I've never allowed myself to get it. I've never allowed myself because I have just whatever the cable is here, Xfinity, Comcast. That's the cable that's here. Okay. And before you needed a fucking dish on your thing. And I'm like, I'm not getting a dish. And I want to watch the Bills games. Right. So this was, and I've never allowed myself to do it. I just felt like if I miss a game, then I'm a piece of shit. I'm paying for another whole service. And so for all these years, now I have the money. I absolutely have the money to do it. But there's some things that I don't know how, I don't know. When I'm out, and you know this to be true, when I'm out, I'll fucking buy the whole bar shots. Okay. I will do that.
I was going to say, because I don't know who's calling you cheap, because anytime we've gone out all these years, every time I try to buy a beer, you're like, get the fuck out of the way. I'm like, let me buy a fucking beer.
It's cheap where I had a gig that was about almost an hour away. And Tessa caught me looking it up on Uber. And I'm like, it's $80 one way. Now, how much is a DUI? 10 grand to start, right?
Minimum, yeah.
So, okay, then I'm just going to go and not drink. She's like, Rod, you haven't been there in forever. This is Magnolia. The thing about the radio station when you're doing these personal appearances, it's kind of always been this way. It's that way in New Orleans as well. The further you get away from downtown, the further you get away from the city, the more popular you are and the more people they're appreciative that you're there. Okay. Sure. If I do a gig downtown, okay, like fucking Rod Ryan's here, who gives a shit? Shut up. I'm trying to watch the game. Right. Because they're cool. Yep. They're too cool. They're interloopers. You get out and like I said, I had a gig Magnolia or something and it was far away. They're so happy that you're there. Like, holy shit, I can't believe you're in my bar. You remember like growing up, I remember doing a gig. And when we were working at the Fox and we were part-time guys, I got to do like the prize pup, meaning I drove the van, I set up the table.
Yeah.
But it was a gig that Iron Mike Benson was doing in North Tonawanda, my hometown. I couldn't believe the radio station was coming to North Tonawanda, you know?
Right. Yep.
Because the radio station was in Buffalo. People were fucking losing their mind that the Fox, the radio station that we all listen to, was in one of our bars, you know?
Yeah.
So back to Tessa. She's like, these people are going to lose their mind that you're there. And your cheap ass is not going to buy an Uber and you're going to go up there and just drink 3 beers and then tell everybody peace out after happy hour. She goes, why? And I said, I don't know. That's a lot of money. $80 each way, which still, as I say it out loud, it's a fucking lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my point, though. Like,
she caught me. She's like, why are you cheaping out on this?
Right.
Go and fucking party. So she caught me and I spent the money and I went. It was $80 each way.
Okay. That's a lot of money. But again, this is my point. Like you'll justify blowing money on crazy shit. We all do it. I'll spend
$80 at the first bar we go to if there's a group of us.
Yeah.
Okay. I will peel off $80 for the first couple of rounds, and that's just the first bar.
Yeah.
I can't get over spending $80 on a ride.
No, but that's my point. Like we will blow so much fucking money on dumb shit, or not dumb shit, but shit we really appreciate. But then when it comes down to something like getting a ride or like that, you know, like when we travel when we take these family vacations, look, we're good about like, okay, we plan it a year out and we stop. Okay. No more of this, no more of that, no more spending money on this. That money now goes to the vacation. Okay. We stop going to the movies or, you know, we cut out some bullshit. We still do shit, but we cut it out. You know, but when we go, okay, we're spending that money and then we spend the next 6 months paying off the shit because you always spend more than you're supposed to, right? So my wife, she's got a great job, does well, all good, no big deal, spends money on anything she wants. We never converse about whatever she spends her shit on, all good, don't care. Same thing with me. She doesn't give a shit, all good. As long as we pay the house bills and all the energy and all that shit.
I have a follow-up question.
I bet. But my wife will, and I'm not even fucking kidding. She's got this thing in her head where to save money for the family. And she's, we turn the lights off at night, turn the air conditioner up when we're not home. We do all those little things, right? Dude, I got a grown ass woman. She will take, how when you buy napkins, right? Paper napkins, and they're folded, right? They're folded in half, so nice and not thick. But, you buy napkins, paper, regular napkins, you wipe your mouth, throw them away. She will spend 10 minutes taking scissors and cutting out every napkin in half down that first fold. So, if you got a square napkin, you open it up. Now it's a big rectangle, right? She will cut right down that fold. And now she's taken one napkin, Rodney. Now you got two.
Is that a cultural thing? Is that some sort of thing when they grew up, they did that?
Dude, I've been using a half of a napkin, which I've dubbed halfkins for the last 18 years. Just wanted to admit that.
I don't think I use napkins. We just use paper towels here.
Oh, no. Dude, you tear up a paper towel, dude. It's like you're fucking ripping down a forest. You might as well be chopping down redwoods.
But it's the ones that come like they're split. Like it's not a full square. It's the little, I get the half sheeters.
Even that, dude, those get cut in half. If you're going to do that, she'll tear it in half. If we run
now, what about when Henry was young? What about when Henry was young? And I know it's been a little while, but you're going through fucking baby wipes like a madman.
Well, that's for the baby, though. It's okay. It's all good. It's for the baby.
Okay, it's for the baby. Gotcha.
For the baby, dude. It's for the baby. Now, you get a halfkin at my house. Dude, I'm telling you, you come over on if we're not partying, I'm like, can we use real napkins tonight?
Honey, can we have full napkins? Not the ones that are cut, please.
I've been using a half. So when I go out to eat, I'm like,
a halfkin.
So rich right now. I'm using a whole napkin.
Nice. I guess it feels good, right?
Wipe my whole mouth now. It's great.
A lot of this comes from, how I was raised, how we were raised.
Right.
And not having a whole lot. So, I mean, and then my answer to Tessa, I said, the reason that I have money is because I don't waste it.
Well, yeah, there's that.
I told her that. She's like, you're rich. Get the freaking Uber. I go, I'm rich because I don't waste money. Okay. That's why I am rich. Well, my mom, when we finally moved to New Orleans, and believe me, I'm not making great money, but it's the first time I made any money, really. And going out to eat, I'm talking about the first time when I first went to New Orleans, but even back when I was doing mornings and I was kind of making some good money now. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. I want to go out and I mean, the biggest dinner ever when you're a kid for us was the Ponderosa, which was
Red Lobster.
It was like a ghetto steakhouse. Oh, yeah. That's like the Sizzler or whatever. I don't know but it was called the Ponderosa. That was big time. I mean, I told you, even graduating college, we went to Red Lobster. That was big time for us.
Yep.
And that might have been, for the five of us, that may have been, what, $150 bill? And, my dad felt like the shit paying that thing, Well, we go to New Orleans and it's nothing to have a $300 meal. If you go to a nice restaurant, my mom is flipping out, looking at the menu and looking at the prices. She cannot fucking enjoy herself. Okay. She's like, Jesus Christ. What is Emerald? Is Emerald going to come out here and serve this to me? What is going on here? My mom cannot relax. She absolutely is not. She is just flat out not having a good time. She knows what's about to be spent. She knows that we're getting apps and we're getting drinks and everything. And she's fucking adding it up in her head. And she's flat out not having a good time. She would have had a better time at Red Lobster than being at an Emerald's.
Yeah.
She just can't enjoy herself. And when she saw a $400 bill, she's got to see it. She's like, give me that thing. Not that she's going to pay it. She just wants to see it.
Right.
And she's like, what's the matter with you? And I go, Mom, wasn't it great though? She's like, no food is that good.
I don't know, man. Sometimes it's pretty damn good. You get to use whole napkins at least? Jesus.
Yeah. There was no half napkins. They were full napkins. I think some of that comes from how you were raised. But my follow-up question
Okay. Yeah.
is there, being a married fella for how long now? I'm not putting you on the spot, but 15 years?
18
How long?
years. 18.
18 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Is there a limit? Is there a $300 ceiling that I'm going to run this by the wife? Is it $200? You said that she goes out and buys whatever she wants. You go out and buy whatever you want. Is there a number that you kind of feel? It's like when I got my forearm tattoos. When I got tattoos below the elbow, I went to my wife and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of getting, some tattoos here. And she thought it was silly that I was asking her because I got tattoos. I go, well, this is below, I'm running it by you.
Yeah.
The money thing, is there a number that you feel like this one probably maybe gets run by?
You know what? We never really, no. Like our oven microwave blew up. We got hit by lightning.
No. Not shit that you need around the house. This is something for you, something for her. If you went out and you wanted, I don't know, an electric scooter, and it's $800.
Yeah.
Would you say, listen, I've been eyeing this thing. I kind of really want this, the one wheel, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, I would just go, hey, I'm going to get one of those one wheel things. What do you think? She's like, you're going to kill yourself.
Right.
Okay. The cost wouldn't come up. As long as the bills get paid, we don't have discussions like that. Like I just pumped a lot of money into my car, getting some things done. And I just said, yeah, here's how much I'm going to be spending on it. She goes, wow, okay, cool. Is it going to be fixed so you can rock and roll and drive it? I go, yeah. She goes, all right, cool. Like that was I think one of the only times I ever threw something by her, but it's a nice chunk of change. So I wanted to make sure. So now probably going to be not using napkins at all. It's going to be sleeves at the house.
Yeah. Right. So I have some old like vintage microphones and I had my eye on a couple that for a long time. And it's just one of those things, just like back in the day when I bought my Kiss pinball machine. You just don't go out and buy a Kiss pinball machine. You stalk the internet for years.
Oh, you to find research. Yeah.
To find the perfect one. You know what I mean? Like you see one come up and then it's like, okay, then you start to learn about them. Then you kind of know about them. And I used to stalk microphones. I know, super nerdy, but old RCA microphones from the 50s. And this one came up and I'm like, wow, it was an eBay situation. It was, there was the buy it now number was pretty good. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm not even bringing this shit up. And I just did it. It was the biggest purchase I made while I was married. $3,000.
Wow.
For a microphone. And it just kind of appeared with all my junk and I never said a word about it. And guess what? Fucking glorious.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I didn't, but that's a pretty big purchase. And that was one that I went rogue on.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to do this. She's not going to understand that. A $3,000 microphone from the fucking 50s. Who sang in this thing? Elvis? No. And it's $3,000.
Yeah, but when you got a hobby and your partner understands your hobby, and as long as the kids are getting fed and the lights are on and everything else is cool, then who gives a shit? My wife, I don't even want to know what her makeup routine and all that stuff. I mean, there's some things going on. There's always a shipment of some kind of lotion or potion showing up at her house. I never bring it up. I don't care. If it makes her happy, great. Don't give a shit. All good. I'm not a guy who really buys a ton of shit ever. I never have been, but the few things I really like, I'm doing it. I'm going all in, yeah, no, but I was just going to say that, like, here's some of the things that we all blow too much money on, where if we were a little bit smarter, Rod, NFL ticket, we spend too much on all these subscription services, and you're like, oh, I want to see this series, but it's only on Apple. Well, then that just renews, and you keep paying that stupid. So you got to check all your subscriptions on all your dumb shit. Because
thank you, fucking Alex, on the show, because he was begging me. He's like, dude, you got to watch Ted Lasso. You got to watch Ted Lasso, and he was right. Ted Lasso is awesome.
It's great.
So he buys me the Apple box, which I don't even know why he bought me an Apple box. Now that I think about it,
just put on your TV.
Right. But he bought me the Apple box, and I put it on the thing and blah, blah, blah. And it comes with 3 free months. He's like, here you go. Merry Christmas. Boom. It was a nice Christmas present. And it was great. He was right. Ted Lasso was awesome. Do you think I fucking got rid of Apple TV?
No, you did not. Nope.
It's on there.
No,
that's
the thing.
Cable is the thing. And I know this is a sensitive area. It's a sensitive area for me, even talking about it, because on the radio station, you start bagging on cable, they're probably the biggest spender. They're probably the biggest buyer of advertising on the radio station. And here's me, cut the cable, blah, 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 all this shit. They're like, Rod, what are you doing? We can talk about whatever we want, but you don't want to shit on people that are spending a lot of money on your radio station. So
not a good idea.
And I'm not a cut the cable guy. I still have cable. But I'm cut cable curious.
Well, but you've got you start adding up Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, are you really watching that shit? That's what a big thing. When a lot of people go to Starbucks, coffee shops, you're blowing $5 to $8 on a coffee that you could drink at home for nothing. I get it. They taste great. And it's just it's a habit though. You don't need it. Make it at home.
No, I never got into that coffee game every single day. I know that anytime you do any kind of a financial talk about like tightening the belt or whatever it's called, it's like they go right after your Starbucks addiction, man. Like coffee drinkers, always. That's the first thing. It's like, okay, let's talk about all that money you're spending at Starbucks every day.
And you don't need to. It's like, ordering takeout. Do you really need? Can you cook a couple times during the week? You can. You could cook a couple nights, and that's all.
That's where I'm too cheap. I'm too cheap to order food. I don't get anything delivered here. I will sit around and I will make something. I will put pizza sauce on a tortilla and melt cheese and put it in. I mean, like if I don't have food, I will just eat whatever's here. I do not order food. I say kids, younger people, they are fucking spending. I mean, it's $30 sometimes to get a hamburger. Okay. Yeah. Hamburger, fries, by the time everything's done, it's like, what did you spend on that? $30. Okay. It's too rich for me.
Yeah. That's way too much money. And here's one that I'm pretty sure every human is guilty of: buying shit online and then you never really use it that much. The Amazon thing where you buy shit and you're like, oh God, what did I do? Why did I buy that?
I go in waves on that. I go in waves. I start looking, and then what's a killer is when you click on shit that you've ordered in the past. I'm like, oh yeah, I do need some more of that. Oh, I do need some more of that. Yeah, I'm a sucker for that. It's like, I might not need that, but I'm like, I'm here. Boom. I am the kind of guy that will buy. I don't buy just one deodorant if I'm at the store. I remember my wife at the time, she's freaked out. She's like, what the fuck is in here? Like, I buy 10 Listerine. Like, if I'm going to buy Listerine, I want to buy 10 of them. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
If I'm going to buy deodorant, I'm going to buy 10 of them. Okay. Oh, sorry, Rod. You're a millionaire. Listen, I'm going to buy 10. Are you going to use 10 deodorants? Yes. Eventually. Then let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah. Things like that, toothpaste, all that kind of bullshit. Go to the bulk stores and get your load of that shit, but then you'll blow $3,000 on a microphone you're never going to use. But that's cool.
Yeah. I don't use it. I think I used it. I think I thought about using it at one of the podcasts and then I never have.
No, but I just wanted to bring up the whole money thing because we're all blowing all kinds of money on dumb shit, man. We just do it, but we justify it in our minds. We totally do. You did. I do. Everyone freaking does it. But look at your subscriptions, man. I'm telling you, you're wasting money. It's just pissing out into the wind. It really
A friend of mine got into he owns pet stores. And him and his brother went into business together. And it's one of the big chains. It's not PetSmart. He's going to kill me because I don't know the name. And
there goes another sponsor. Shit.
And those are the two things where there is no ceiling for people, meaning they will spend outside of their comfort level. Because it's pets and kids and babies.
Yep.
Specifically babies. And this, and anybody that we're about to do, and I'll have a spiel and I'll talk to all the girls. We're about to do the pre-Labor Day pregnant bikini contest. And until you have a kid and realize how much shit you bought that you don't need, it's crazy, but you just want to have everything ready to go. It's like, hey, we're doing good over here. Let's make sure we got everything. And we bought so much shit that we didn't need. And that's the best business to be in. Babies and pets. People will spend, and they don't think twice about it.
No, the pet game is so crazy. Your dog doesn't need 99% of the dumb shit you're buying for it. I'm telling you, buy good food for it, healthy. And take the damn thing for a walk once in a while and brush it. you're good. I think your dog's going to be just fine, man. I totally think it's going to be okay. But you're right. That would be the business to get into. Rod, you came up with something very cool today. And this top 5 was, it's going to be a tough one, bro. You came up with a great top 5 this week.
So the reason how I'm always looking for inspirations for the top 5. It's always like not maybe necessarily in your face, but you got to kind of look everywhere, and this week, when this podcast drops, it will be August 25th, and it'll be the 46th anniversary of Boston releasing their self-titled album. Now, I know that's really super duper classic rock, but More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, Foreplay Long Time. It's one of the greatest debut albums of all time. It truly was their debut album. So 17 million, 17 times platinum. Okay. It's one of the greatest debut CDs ever. Albums. The CDs weren't around then.
Right.
And that logo, and I have a Boston shirt. I mean, I love it. It's just so iconic. So I was thinking about debut CDs. Is that the greatest debut CD of all time? Well, when I started thinking about it, no, it's not. But it is. It definitely deserves to be in the discussion as one of the greatest debut CDs. Now, you got to be careful here and make sure that the album that you're talking about is, in fact, the band's first album. And I'll just take something off the board right now, which is Nirvana, Nevermind. Nope. I think everybody knows that there was an album out before Dave Grohl was in the band, and it was called Bleach. And now looking back in retrospect, people are putting that as one of the great debut albums of all time. Well, let me tell you, nobody heard it. Okay. Very few people knew about it. They all went back and then they raved about it. I think it's okay. I do. I think it's okay. I don't think it's great. I don't listen to Bleach and I say, this band's going to be huge. It just doesn't happen like that. So you got to make sure that you are dealing with the debut CD, and we're going to do our top 5 favorites. So it gets us away from what are the best of all time. Because you got to go back. I mean, fuck the Beatles' first album. I mean, it started a revolution, Elvis's first album. It started, we'll get into it. You got your list ready to go. And then I want to do a little exercise because I'm anticipating what I'm about to hear out of you and I. And then I want to do something. I want to do a little fun little exercise with this. All right.
That's cool. And I've actually got a little sidebar that I want to bring up about one of the bands. And I think I might have brought it up before, but I kind of want to go down the road again because I forgot. So yeah, let's do our top 5 favorite albums next.
Okay. Top 5 favorite debut albums.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Are you planning a trip to New Orleans soon? Well, believe it or not, it does cool off. The fall is an amazing time to make plans to go to New Orleans. Anything revolving around Halloween, around that time, man, it is a great time and maybe my favorite time of the year in New Orleans. I mean, sure, you got Mardi Gras on that, but man, the month of October in New Orleans is pretty great. So I'm just saying, if you're planning a trip to New Orleans, make sure that part of your trip, you book Pirates of the Quarter, a walking tour. It's fun. It's loaded with information. There's no other tour like it in the French Quarter. You're drinking, you're walking around. Pirates are leading you around the French Quarter. There's so much more to the French Quarter than Bourbon Street. I mean, when you go there, you're going to party on Bourbon Street. I get it. But these guys are going to teach you, and it's fun. It's entertaining. It's like, hey, be careful. You might learn a little something. You're drinking, you're walking the streets of the Quarter. You're hearing these incredible stories of real pirates and their involvement in the history of New Orleans. So the tour is definitely going to be something that it's going to really surprise you. I promise you, on the plane ride home, you're going to be talking about it. There's so much more to New Orleans. Details, piratesofthequarter.com, at Pirates of the Quarter on all the socials. And they really need to get on TikTok. They really need to get on TikTok.
Yeah, that's what we need, is a pirate on TikTok doing a dance. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's got to happen soon.
You know what? You bring up the whole flying home from New Orleans, and Rod, I remember years ago how many people would come visit us, and we'd party balls all weekend, and then we'd get a phone call like a week later. Hey man, thanks for letting me crash your place over my stay. Had a blast. By the way, I threw up on the airplane, or I'm on the airplane. I looked down at my shoes and there's barf on my shoes, or there's always barf involved with people going home. I think your sister went
Sue
home with
Ryan.
yes, she had like barf on her shoes.
Yeah, I think my sister may have thrown up on the plane. Back in the day.
I
Yeah,
can only imagine the shit that goes on at that airport. Can you imagine how many people go to catch a flight? They're hungover and they just start heaving guts.
well, but you don't see it. You don't see it. I don't live there anymore. So when I fly in, it's awesome, man. Like everyone's in a great mood. There's, you can tell that there's a couple of people that are going home. It doesn't have to be around Mardi Gras, but it's just people are ready to party. They're in a good mood. They're flying to New Orleans. Okay. Nice. Let me tell you, that airport on Sunday, it's not fun. Okay. It's not a fun, jovial place. All of that magic on your way there, people are absolutely wiped out. When you're sitting at the gate, it's fucking quiet. Okay. No one's talking. Everybody's bummed out. You don't get to see that anymore, but I do. It's a huge difference, man. Going to and leaving New Orleans, it's a much different feeling at the gate.
I can't imagine the amount of barf that goes into those garbage cans because people are so hungover, especially those early 7, 8, 9 a.m. flights. People got to be just heaving guts.
A tale of two gates.
Oh my God, it's so great. That's why New Orleans is so cool, man.
Okay, who wants to go first here?
I just want to say Boston's always been one of those interesting bands where doing classic rock radio for all those years, I never was like, oh my God, yeah, Boston, dude. But I always liked Boston because they wrote nice, hooky, great sounding songs. And if you think of the year, what was it, 78 it came out? Think about the sound quality on
76, I'm sorry, 76.
Think about the quality on those albums. Those Boston albums still sound so clean today.
Well, that guy was a genius. So is that Tom Scholz or whatever?
He was a freak. He worked in his basement for years.
Yeah, and he was kind of a studio savant guy. And then they waited forever in between albums. I mean, they waited 8 years at one point.
Right.
They were like the original Guns N' Roses waiting, to put out new music. And I'll tell you what, that's a band. They're not big enough. There would never be like a movie about them like Elvis at the theaters or anything. But man, I'd be down. I know there was a Behind the Music back in the day, but I would be down for a Boston band documentary.
Yeah, totally.
The singer killed himself.
Oh yeah. It's a mess.
I mean, there's that thing. And then The Rock's wife, her dad was in Boston back in the day. There's some wild shit, dude, with Boston. The guy that killed himself, where he put the note at the front door, right?
Brad Delp. Yeah, the singer. Great.
He put a note at the front door and he said, "Hey, don't come in here. There's gas." He hauled a gas grill up into his room and turned on the gas and boom, that was it. But he left a note. He didn't want anyone to get hurt. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's a while back, but yeah. Yeah. What's even more interesting is after they years later, they went out and they wanted to tour. So they went out and got 2 singers. They found a guy who was working in Home Depot
I saw him.
He was doing karaoke and they said, you do these songs because you can hit these parts. And this other guy they had did the other parts. I'm like, you're right. That would make a great like Behind the Music or a documentary. Boston. Yeah,
I'm totally down for a Boston documentary. And I want to say, if you go back and look at that Boston album, the guy with the massive fro, I think that's The Rock's father-in-law.
Dude, The Rock. What the hell?
Yeah, it's wild. Okay.
That is crazy.
You haven't gone first in a while. Go ahead, dude.
Okay.
Your top 5 favorite debut CDs.
Okay, well, this took research because I couldn't tell you. I'm like, well, was this their debut or not? You know what I mean? So you get lost in the weeds. I just wanted to give a shout out. This is not me trying to squeeze in an extra.
Don't say it. Just give me your top 5. Why you got to be so fucking difficult?
Because I want to throw in the extra. We
There's
talked
5B.
No, this is just a throwback to last episode. We talked a lot about Stone Temple Pilots. I really like the Core album. I'm not going to go. That's not one of mine. Don't count it. Don't write it down. Core.
Well, then save that for the jib jab after the list. Why do you got to mention that right here?
Because it's my turn. I'm going to do what I want. Number 5. I love the Doors debut album because it's the freaking first one. Light My Fire, all that shit. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I knew you were going to have that on your list. I knew I wasn't going to have that on my list, and I knew you were.
I love that album. To this day, it still sounds great. And it was just different sounding than everything else that came out at the time. That was at number 5.
But when did you get into that? You know, like
I wasn't
obviously
alive when it came out, obviously. So,
68, right? That's
yeah,
that's late 60s.
7, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay. So
I-
when do you get into that?
I didn't get into the Doors till the 90s, man.
Okay.
But I listened to it in order. Someone said, "Here, put a." Yeah, I like Light My Fire like anyone else did. That's your intro to the Doors. And they said, "Hey, you like that song? Go listen to this album." And it was the first one, and I went, "Holy shit, this is really good."
Right.
So that's when I got into it. Most of these albums, I wasn't on the train when they came out. These were years later that I got on the train. You know.
Yeah.
That's
See
the thing.
that was a big part of coming up with my list because some I had some involvement with, you know, in the discovering of them on their debut CD. And then obviously I mentioned, you know, in the beginning, I said, you know, the Beatles. You know, if somebody tells me that, you know, the greatest debut album of all time is the Beatles, how am I going to argue with that? You know?
Right. I mean, suppose.
I mean,
Please,
that's
please,
where
me.
the world was introduced to the Beatles, you know, and then look what came of it. So how could it not be one of the greatest of all time? But go ahead.
Yeah, number 4, the 10 album from Pearl Jam. I mean, holy crap, it was there. We were playing it in college radio. We were there when it came out. We were there for the ride. We're still taking the ride with Pearl Jam to this day. So like you said, we've been fortunate enough to kind of be there and be part of it, you know, and play the songs on the radio. When Versus came out, their second album, it was like, oh shit, is this going to be as good? I remember getting that album and everyone freaking out like, holy shit. And it turned out to be great, you know? So yes, going to your point of kind of being there along the ride.
Yeah, being there for the discovery of the band, and then you feel like you're a little bit closer to it and you're more a part of it, you know? I mean, the connective tissue between you and Pearl Jam is so different from you and the Doors, you know?
A little bit, yeah. Well, totally different. Yeah. That was number 4. Number 3, top 5 favorite debut albums, which is so weird. Rage Against the Machine's first album.
Yeah.
That's Killing in the Name. That's you know, I mean, you know, I don't sit around and crank up Rage Against the Machine albums at my house. It's just one of those bands that's like, you know,
I do. I fucking
really?
crank Rage. I listen to Rage all the time, man. I've got vinyls. Yes, I listen to Rage. I love it. I love it.
It's like Metallica. I don't put on a Metallica album and just sit around cranking it. I just don't do that. A couple songs, I'm good. I got it. We're all happy now. Okay, we got that out of our system. Let's move on. But that album is still holds up. Still great. That was at number 3. Number 2, you know, this will be a shock. The first Van Halen album.
Oh, okay. Wait, we're on number 2 is VH.
Yeah, Van Halen.
Okay.
Van Halen 1. I don't think I get it. We've talked about Van Halen on this podcast plenty. I don't really need to go into it. I think you know, Eruption, you really got me. You get the idea. And number 1, my favorite debut album. I mean, this is not going to be a shock either. It's Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses. I mean, I remember, you know, and like you said it before, nobody was on the Guns N' Roses Appetite train until a year after it came out. You know,
Yeah.
It took time for that album to show up in the world, right?
Yep.
When it did, man, my buddy Eric, he picked me up every day in high school, and sure as shit, he had the cassette, and we'd start the ride to school, and it would be the only cassette he had, I think, and we would just crank the shit out of it on that 20-minute ride to school. And then on the way home, we would pick it up right where we left off and crank it on the way back. It was just, that was in my DNA in high school, you know, and to this day, and I've said this before, I've probably bought Appetite 5 different times throughout the years on CDs and cassette and all that shit. So yeah, that definitely is my number 1. And then I got a lot of lists on the side that I threw over there, but I want to talk about those afterwards because I do have some observations. And I know, you know, this is hard because you skip a lot because there's so much great shit out there.
Agreed. Okay. Yeah, there's going to be, this is going to play into what I want to do as my exercise afterwards. This is going to play in very, very well. Top 5 favorite. I had a couple of years in my life that when I discovered the Sex Pistols, and it changed a lot for me. And the Nevermind the Bollocks, really their only studio album, their debut album. I had to pull up the track listing because I hadn't listened to it in a while, but Holidays in the Sun, Liar, 17, Pretty Vacant, Bodies, Problems, Anarchy in the UK. I mean, God Save the Queen. It's one of those albums that, you know, start to finish, front to back to front. There's no denying the impact of that album. That was the Ramones should have resonated more for me because they were a New York band. They should have meant more to us. And for some reason, I chose the Sex Pistols. Like that was what I chose as my punk ground floor. You know, some people maybe got into it with The Clash. I know a lot of people would say The Clash's first album, but that Sex Pistols album, and I know it had been out for a number of years, but it was that weird high school. You were looking for something else. Alternative hadn't really broke yet. And I was looking for something else other than classic rock. And I found the Sex Pistols, and that started a lot for me. That really did start a lot. So I'm going to put 1977 Sex Pistols. I didn't get into them at 1977. I was 7, 8 years old. But I got into them years later. But I think it really is an important album, and it is one of my favorite debut CDs. Number 4, Rage Against the Machine, for all the reasons that you said.
Right.
1992, they were a game changer, and I never heard anything like it.
Still don't, really.
Pantera had that kind of power. Metallica was before them. That was the power. That was the power that I got. Rock and roll, the metal is a feeling, and Rage Against the Machine tapped into something that was next level. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing, much like people probably freaked out that they didn't know what Eddie Van Halen was doing. You know, I do put those dudes in rarefied air. What was this noise that was coming out of this guitar? You know, it was awesome. And going back in the excitement of hearing it for the first time, it's the best. It's the absolute best. I mean, go back to the generation before that. And, I imagine late 67, when you heard Jimi Hendrix album, you're like, what is this? It's Hendrix, it's Eddie, and then it's Tom Morello. They did something on an album that just had never been done before. Rage Against the Machine, 1992. That's my number 4. My number 3 is my 3, 2, 1. I could change every day. They're 3 perfect albums. What's a perfect album? Every fucking song, from the first song to the last song, is awesome. And we know them all. And that was back when we played them from start to finish. So my 3, 2, 1, it's Pearl Jam 10. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect album.
It's great. My
2 is Van Halen, debut CD. Yep. It's fucking perfect. And then Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. It's a perfect album. Those are 3 perfect albums that play like greatest hits albums. Okay.
Especially now.
The debut album, just change the name. Don't call it Pearl Jam 10. Call it Pearl Jam's fucking greatest hits. Okay. You can do that with all 3 of those albums. They're greatest hits albums now.
At this point, they are. The deeper cuts. Rocket Queen. It didn't get a lot of airplay back in the day. It was never a single, I don't believe. But man, it. All those songs. All of those songs. And it's funny. You've said this. You've heard it a million times. That when you're in a band, you have a lifetime to make that first album. You got about 6 months to make your second album. You know what I mean? Because if you get success out of that first one, you've had your whole life to think about it, work on it, craft it, get better. And all that experience of your life goes into that first album. That's why a lot of times second albums always bomb, because the record company goes, okay, you just sold, 5 million albums and you've toured. You still got to make us more money because you got a contract. Now get back in the studio. And then you got 6 months to make an album. You're like, uh-oh, what do I write about? Oh, Beat on the Road, chicks. And that's why a lot of times the second album, will just bomb. We should do a second album list next time, because that's where
you would get Nirvana.
Yeah.
You would get Green Day. You would get Jane's Addiction, because there was an EP out beforehand. Jane's Addiction, man, I mean, nothing shocking. It's not their debut album, though. That's where you get in the gray area, because there was EPs out. But I would, that would be, I could rifle off a fucking second. I could rifle off a top 5 second albums right now, but we can save that for down the road.
Was Facelift Alice in Chains' debut? Facelift was their first one, right? Yeah. That didn't get on here, but you know what? I like Facelift. I don't love it. I
love it. I love it. And I get it. Like, Dirt is their biggest album.
I love that album.
But man, Facelift is fucking great, because that's there's something special about that's where I discovered them, you know?
And there's a lot of power. Alice in Chains, you don't realize the power. Like they're not Rage Against the Machine, Metallica, Pantera powerful, but you start listening to those songs, you're like, oh shit, there's power behind a lot of these songs. So, so what was your, I want to go back to the Sex Pistols. I had a mark on my notes and I put an arrow next to the Sex Pistols because I didn't put that shit on there. And I got to be honest, I missed the Sex Pistols thing. I never got into it. I always thought they were just a bunch of assholes who
but you had to get in with the group of people that got into it because it was already over. I mean, that movement, obviously, again, that album came out in 77. So I'm getting into them 10 years afterwards. I'm a senior in high school, 87, 88. I'm just looking for other sounds.
Right.
I'm just looking for different things. You know, I'm still trying to discover like what's my music because everything that was happening was my sister's music, you know, and,
right.
Of course I loved Kiss and, you know, and I loved Van Halen and AC/DC, all that stuff was there though. It wasn't really mine. And then the discoverability of the Sex Pistols, then it led to other things. And I think that's where it kind of opened the door to Jane's Addiction and some of that other stuff. But even like listening to the Sex Pistols, then it led to, you know, listening to stuff like Bad Brains and some of the other like punk stuff that I really had a moment where that's where I lived. Like I lived in that punk space for a long time, for a couple of years. Like I was just super, super into it.
See, I never had anybody who introduced me to it. I tried to listen to it. And I'm like, and then, you know, all the Sid Vicious shit and the, you know, and it's like, these guys are just assholes with limited amounts of talent.
Yeah.
I didn't say unlimited. I said very limited amounts of talent. I'm like, what is the show here? But I didn't go through it at the time. I had no one introduce it to me. I listened to it. I went, yeah, but I can't get the fact that these guys are dipshits out of my head. You know what I mean? So I never got into the Sex Pistols at all.
And I like the Ramones. And like I said, the Ramones should have done something a little bit more for me, just being a New York band. And I don't know. I put all my chips on the Sex Pistols and that's where I started. Where I started. And then I did get into the Clash a little bit. And yeah, it was a great door opener to start exploring other kinds of music.
See,
and then it was like a fad. It was like a fad, but I mean, there's no denying how great that album is. There's no denying how unbelievably great it is. And, you know, they're known as and I got a bunch of albums. There's only one studio album. There's one album, you know, and then there's the Great Rock and Roll Swindle, you know, where they got money and they're just like, fuck you, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's that. Very punk rock of them.
5 shows. They did 5-6 shows in America, something like that. One of, you know, Dallas was, who thought to get the Sex Pistols from England and let's put them down in a country bar in Dallas? Like, who did that? I thought that was
who knows, man? Because that's fucked up. You can't do that. That's going to get somebody hurt in a big way.
It is. It's an unbelievably great album. Any guitar player will tell you that Steve Jones, what he did on that album and the riffs and the guitar. I mean, again, there's, you know, we talked about like Tom Morello and the virtuoso of his guitar. It's not that, you know, It's sloppy. It's the sloppiest, awesomest shit ever.
But it works for that scenario. You know,
it's awesome sloppy. It's awesome slop.
Right. We talk about that all the time on the on the podcast about, like, you know, guitar solos. How many songs are good? And then there's just this shredding dick that just ruins the song with some shredding bullshit. Whereas he could have just played a nice little solo and made the song better. You know, they never look at the song. So it's the sum of the parts. And look, I'm and again, I'll probably get ripped out for saying, oh, you don't like the Sex Pistols? I don't personally like them. I get their influences. I get the pop culture references. I totally get it. And I'm on board with that. I just never liked it. I never got into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you weren't like around it, then it just kind of would have just come and gone. And it would have been like a music note in history. Like, you understand the significance of it, but
get it.
Yeah. We had a moment that was, I was into it. I mean, and then, you know, that kind of, you got to keep in mind, remember how the Goo Goo Dolls were when they first started, you know, Goo Goo Dolls were a punk band. And, you know, for a time, the Goo Goo Dolls and the Sex Pistols were like my favorite bands, you know?
It's so weird right now.
Yes.
Hey, go listen to Iris, pussy, you know? Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Did you get the pin through your cheek and shit? You were so punk. You're so punk.
But yeah, I did everything but that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So so you already gave me your Stone Temple Pilots was bubbling under.
Yeah.
I mean, what else was trying to get on your list?
Well, I just want to run down a list because, people are gonna be like, well, you forgot about this. We didn't forget. Yeah, you got room for 5. The first Led Zeppelin album obviously did okay. You got Kill 'Em All, Metallica. You've got Are You Experienced from Jimi Hendrix. Definitely maybe from Oasis. Later in the game here, I've become more of an Oasis fan. I'm
a late in life Oasis fan.
I keep coming back to it. I'm like, you know what? This shit's good, man. I think, and I may take shit for this one, but I really like, and again, later in life, I'm coming around and I really have, I don't want to say it because I'm going to eat shit.
Taylor Swift? What is it? Just say it.
Her debut was pretty good. No, The Killers. I fucking still like The Killers a lot. And their first album, Hot Fuss, it's a very good album. It's a very good album. And they had a different sound at the time. They were trying to be Duran Duran back then. But
yeah.
So that's Pretty Hate Machine from Nine Inch Nails.
That's a pretty great album. And that's where that's the first thing I heard from them was Head Like a Hole. And that's how I think a lot of people our age were introduced to Nine Inch Nails, and you heard Head Like a Hole. And another one of those really game changer. What the fuck is this?
Yep.
Sonically, I had never heard anything like it before. And that was really, really exciting. Like Nine Inch Nails was super exciting. I had that written down as well. I mean, obviously Led Zeppelin, I wasn't involved in the movement. It was already done by the time I'm like figuring out what's going on. And, the band's already over with. There's no denying it's just lived on classic rock forever. It's just Led Zeppelin it just doesn't mean to me what it means to most people, Right. But yeah, a phenomenal album. And sonically, nobody was doing what they did when they first came out of the gate. They fucking blew every door, wide open.
In a band, and I was thinking about this the other day, we hardly ever talk about on this podcast. And I think we probably both could talk a lot about this band. They deserve to be discussed. And I don't think we've ever even brought them up other than a couple of weird things for an obvious reason, is the band Linkin Park, which I freaking love that band. I love everything about them. I love the fact that, and I remember saying back in the day, you had like, Faith No More. They kind of had that rap rockish thing going way, way before most anybody else did. And then, you had other bands that just couldn't quite make that rap and that rock thing. People were trying and it was never really quite connecting the dots. Linkin Park came out and connected the dots and made it work again and again and again and again. I mean, how many Linkin Park songs do you play on your station? I know we play a fuckload.
Yeah.
And they're still great. They're still great songs. I don't even know. Is it Hybrid Theory that sold like 1 million albums? Is that their first album?
Oh yeah. That's got to be 10 million albums at this time. At this point.
That is a great, great debut album. But you know what? Linkin Park, I don't know. Why do we not give Linkin Park more love on this podcast? You know what I mean? Like, it's weird.
Because of the overexposure being on the radio station and being just so they're just such a core artist and they came out and they exploded and they were just huge right out of the gate. I mean, they were so huge right out of the gate. Yeah, you're right. I mean, going through the whole thing with Chester passing away and finding out what that guy meant to people and what his lyrics meant to people and what he went through and how people related to him. I get it. I mean, Linkin Park is up there in every discussion, and every time I overuse the phrase rarefied air, they're up there for sure.
Right. Yeah. Hybrid Theory 2000. That's when it was released. One Step Closer, Crawling, Paper Cut, In the End. I mean, that's just 4 songs. Runaway. Holy shit. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I'm like, yeah, we never talk about Linkin Park, and not everybody loves them. I get it, but you can't.
Yeah, that's 10 million. That's Diamond. That's 10 million copies for that Hybrid Theory. And they just put out, a 20th anniversary, I think. And they put it together a wicked box set. I did like one of those cool unboxings of everything Hybrid Theory. It was great. And I talked about it. Mike Shinoda was involved with it and stuff. It was really, really cool.
That's one of those bands that you wish obviously still could keep going, and that's a band that I think we've talked about this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Linkin Park gets in, man. Linkin Park gets in.
Yeah.
Linkin
Easy.
Park goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Their first ballot. Their first ballot Hall of Famers.
They got a couple years yet, but yeah, they go in.
So you're going to have to work with me on this.
All right.
I want to do something. I hope you don't got to go anywhere. I said that Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction is a perfect album. Every fucking song's a banger. Okay. Van Halen, perfection. Everything, every song. And the same goes for me with Pearl Jam. So what I want to do is I want to figure out for me, if I have them in the right order, you're going to help me. We're going to track by track this fucker. You ready?
Right. Yeah.
We're going to track by track it. And we're going to see who wins. What's the best album of those three? Because that was my top three. That wasn't your top three. So Guns N' Roses, Drop the Needle, Welcome to the Jungle.
Can't beat that, dude. That's
Taking
huge.
on Once by Pearl Jam. Taking on Running with the Devil.
Oh, Jesus. Why don't you make it harder?
We're going to go track by track on this.
Wow.
Who wins?
Dude.
Who wins?
You got to go with Welcome to the Jungle. You got to go with Welcome to the Jungle on that one. That's a burner, man. I mean, Running with the Devil's so great. Fuck. Well, it once was, yeah. Once goes into third place, unfortunately.
Once is great too.
It
Okay.
is. But I think
This isn't going to get any easier. You ready? Track 2, Guns N' Roses, which was the G side. Remember they had the G side and the R side. There wasn't A and B. It wasn't side 1 and side 2. It was G and R. All right. It's so easy.
Okay.
Taking on Even Flow.
Oh, shit.
Taking on Eruption.
All right. Even Flow and Eruption. It's between those two.
Who wins?
Shit. Wow.
This is tough.
This is gonna be a long night, dude.
We're
you know
going
what?
every track.
You know what? I gotta fuck me. This sucks. This is a good game. I like this one. Dude, you gotta
Even Flow.
Fuck it. Even Flows. Yeah,
I mean, Eruption was a game changer, though. You know, like people thought that was going back to what I said about Tom Morello. What is he doing? What is he doing? He's making noises on a guitar that we've never heard before.
Even Flow wasn't a game changer. It was a great song, still getting played to death on alternative rock radio and now classic rock radio. Eruption changed everything. I mean, people picked up guitars. People wanted to know what the fuck is that. So I have to go with Eruption on that.
Okay.
That's good.
In the third slot.
Yeah, I hate this game.
In the third slot, as we compare what I call 3 perfect albums, but there's only who really has the most, who's got the best songs? Wow. Now, it just sucks that they happen to be lined up on the same track number. You Really Got Me, Van Halen, their first single. Alive.
Oh, come on.
Pearl Jam's first single. Night Train, Guns N' Roses.
I love that song.
Fuck. I told you every song on these albums is amazing. All right, Night Train's out of the discussion because it wasn't a single. And
great song.
It's amazing. Alive or You Really Got Me.
Fuck. Because you come right out of Eruption and nobody stops. You just go right in.
Go ahead.
And that was a monster song for Van Halen too, man. And the way they made it, like they took a great song and made it even better, which is so hard to do for a cover.
That guitar sound on You Really Got Me has never been duplicated. The heaviness of that. I mean, there's a heaviness. There's a Rage Against the Machine heaviness to the sound of Eddie's guitar that I don't think anybody has ever duplicated since.
Not like that. Not with the distortion. And then,
but Alive, when I got that album, dude, I just went and listened. I listened. I remember buying the album 10 and I remember listening to Alive and I listened to it 10 times, back to back to back, at least 10 times before I listened to the rest of the album. I couldn't stop listening to it. What's better? You Really Got Me or Pearl Jam Alive? Come on.
Wow. That's an impossible, but I'm going to go with Alive from Pearl Jam just because I was there. You know what I mean? Like that's it. And yeah, Jesus, that one's a coin flip, dude. That one's tough.
Track 4, Pearl Jam, Why Go?
Ooh, good song.
Guns N' Roses, Out to Get Me.
Oh, shit.
Van Halen, Ain't Talking About Love.
Come on.
Sorry, Ain't Talking About Love.
Yeah, come on, get it right.
Ain't Talking About Love, Why Go? Out to Get Me. Guns N'
Yeah.
Roses.
It's Guns N' Roses, Van Halen on this one.
Yep.
Van Halen. I'm going Van Halen on that one.
I'm going to go VH on that too.
I'm going to go Van Halen on that one. Boy, it's tough. This is good. I like this exercise. This is good.
Track 5. I'm the one you want.
Oh,
Come on,
great song.
baby. Okay, I'm the one. Taking on Black by Pearl Jam.
Wow.
Taking on Mr. Brownstone.
Oh, come on, dude. You got this out of order. This is
Keep on dancing with Mr. Brownstone.
Black. It's Black. It's Black.
Ooh, wait a minute. This
here's-
might be our first disagreement. Go ahead.
Here's why I say Black. It's like, you know what? We've played it to death on the radio over the years, but I listened to it recently and I don't know why it just hit different for some reason. I must have been paying attention to it for the first time in a long time. And just what he's singing about, dude. Oh, it'll gut you. It'll gut you. You know, you'll be the, whatever the line is, you'll be the star in somebody else's sky. Oh, fucking gut me, you know? So yeah, I'm going with Black on that one. Although Brownstone is just a chugging, fun, good time.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Oh.
Track 6. Track 6, Guns N' Roses, Paradise City. End of discussion, right? No.
Well,
Jeremy. Pearl Jam. Track 6, Jamie's Crying.
oh wow, that's a heavy
Who wins
one.
track 6 on 3 perfect albums? Who has the best track 6? Is it Jamie's Crying, Jeremy, Paradise City?
I think you got to take Jamie's Crying out. I think it's going to be your Guns N' Roses Pearl Jam.
Okay.
You know, and it's hard to not use Jeremy without the. You have to think of it without the video, I guess. And the video is so huge, and the videos would really help push that song. So you got no Guns N' Roses on this. And I love Jeremy.
I have
too.
to agree with you again. Guns N' Roses, Paradise City is the track 6.
I think without the video for Jeremy, I don't think Jeremy ever took off as much as it did. I don't think it does.
Track 7, Guns N' Roses, My Michelle.
Oh, I like that one too.
Track 7, Pearl Jam, Oceans.
Ooh, we're getting deep cut now.
Van Halen, Atomic Punk.
Oh, Atomic Punk. That song is so fucking good. It's just
Ooh.
raw. That whole Atomic Punk. Although, what was it? My Michelle?
My Michelle is track 7. Oceans is track 7.
Yeah, Oceans is good.
And Atomic Punk is track 7. What's the winner?
Atomic Punk. I got to go Atomic Punk. I love that tune, man. That thing's huge. Huge. What about you? Because that's a tough one.
I might go My Michelle on that one.
That is.
I might go GNR. Rod goes GNR on that one.
That's good.
Yeah, My Michelle's pretty fucking great.
There's no wrong answers here, really.
Perfect. We're talking about perfect albums.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if the songs were in different order, we would be doing it differently. It's just you're unlucky to be on the track of a fucking banger.
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right, we're on track 8. Here we go. Think About You. Guns N' Roses.
Bitch.
Track 8, Pearl Jam, Porch.
Fuck, it's awesome.
I'm telling you, I love every song. Track number 8, Van Halen, Feel Your Love Tonight.
Ooh, wow, I forgot about that song. Ooh, that's a good song too.
I can't wait.
Yeah, they got the harmonizing at the end.
I can't wait
Feel
to feel your loving tonight.
I'm going Van Halen on this one.
Because I sang it. Just say it because I sang it.
You might have actually hurt the chances with that, but that's okay.
Feel Your Love Tonight, Porch, and then Think About You. I'll go Feel Your Love Tonight. I'll go Van Halen on that.
Yeah, think about you as a really close second.
I'll go Van
Really
Halen on
close
8.
second on that. Yeah. All right. Good.
Track number 9, Sweet Child O' Mine.
Okay, right off the top of my head, I'm going that's the winner, but then I don't know the other two.
There's no way. There's no way another track 9 is going to hold up to Sweet Child O' Mine, right?
But
Track 9 on Pearl Jam 10 is Garden.
okay. No, we're good.
Garden it's an amazing song. That's when you realize that this band, like they could jam.
Yep.
So Garden in at number 9, and then number 9,
Oh my God.
Little dreamer.
Oh, yeah. Great song, but it doesn't even come close. Sweet child. Great song, but no, Guns N' Roses wins that one hands down in a landslide.
Kind of like Guns. It's kind of like Van Halen's power ballad, isn't it? Little Dreamer.
Yeah, it would probably be their stab at it. But what was 78? You recorded in 77. That wasn't like power ballad time. That was like the 80s. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Little Dreamer.
Don't be hanging no power ballad on my boys, Drew. That ain't cool. They didn't do that shit till Sammy showed up.
Okay. All right. Sweet Child of Mine gets number 9.
Absolutely. There's not even a question.
Track 10. You're crazy. You're out to get me. Crazy by Guns N' Roses. You're crazy.
Yeah, that's great.
Deep. There's only 2 more tracks on 10. Track 10 is
running out.
Track 10 is Deep, and track 10 on Van Halen is Ice Cream Man.
Oh, dude, Ice Cream Man all the way. Ice Cream Man. Yeah, I got to go Ice Cream Man. And that's a cover. Did you realize that? That's a cover song?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because I actually heard the original the other day. Look up the original on YouTube. It's cool. It's very old and very bluesy, and the guy's funny, and yeah, you can see where Van Halen really jacked it up a notch. But yeah, I gotta go Ice Cream Man because it's a great song.
All right, last one. Guns N' Roses has 12 tracks. The other 2 albums have 11, so we're gonna just keep it even.
Yep.
Last track on the album for Van Halen's debut, On Fire.
Ooh, wow.
Last track on Pearl Jam's 10, Release. It's a really long song. It's like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's super moody. And track 11, Anything Goes from Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction.
Oof.
On Fire, Release, Anything Goes.
I'm on fire. Yeah. I got to go Van Halen on that one. On Fire is so great. It's so great. The screams, the high pitch, the whole crazy shit. It's raucous. Yeah, I'm going that way. I can't really place the Pearl Jam song, so it's not really fair, I suppose.
Yeah, it's really long and moody. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you on Van Halen.
What was the 12th track from Guns N' Roses? Because the other 2 don't have one. Was it Rocket Queen?
Rocket Queen's the last song. Yeah.
Rocket Queen would win.
Okay, now let's see. We only really disagreed on track 7. I went with Guns N' Roses, and you went with Van Halen. Track 7
was it Atomic?
I went with My Michelle, and you went with Atomic Punk.
That's a coin flip, really. That's not like, you know, if I sat down and listened to all 3 songs, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, well, okay, yeah. But off the top of my head, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do some quick math here.
I think we agreed on most of them.
Pearl Jam, Guns.
Van Halen wins,
That's
right?
a tiebreaker. VH, GNR,
Pearl Jam went back.
VH. Well, even without us splitting on that, your champion is Van Halen. Van Halen's got the better songs. Van Halen, followed by Guns N' Roses, followed by Pearl Jam.
Which is a weird battle. That's a weird thing to do. You know what? That's actually cool to do.
Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, Pearl Jam. I did Guns N' Roses, Van Halen, Pearl Jam. Okay. But I mean, pretty interesting exercise though, to go track by track to put those albums. They're totally different albums. One's got nothing to do with the other.
No, nothing.
But
eras.
But I do put them, I do place them as perfect albums. I think every single song is unbelievable. I heard guys doing this. They were comparing albums. Frank Zappa's kid, Ahmed Zappa, has always been like a radio guy.
Yeah.
And he does some kind of show, and they were kind of comparing albums, and they were doing track by track. And I thought it was really interesting. And then I'm like, wow, okay, well, if we're going to do it, we're going to fucking bring in 3 albums, and we'll bring in 3 of the biggest bangers of all time.
That's
by going track by track on that exercise, Van Halen is your champion, which I know you're not upset about that.
Whatever. Either way is cool with me. But that would be a cool exercise to like bust out a couple of different greatest hits albums, go in order of the way they were placed on those albums, like Eagles versus I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like that might be a cool thing that we could probably pull out and do that occasionally because that's cool. I like that. That's really gets you going. Oh shit! Especially when you get like the one was what Alive versus. I mean, it was like crazy. The 3 songs were just like, holy shit! How do you pick? It's like which fucking body part do you want to carve out? You know?
I mean, when I said track 9, Sweet Child of Mine, I'm like, okay, don't even tell me the other tracks.
Right.
I mean, as great as those albums are, if Alive and You Really Got Me is not on that track, then that's gonna win, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Track three was tough because it was Night Train, Alive, and You Really Got Me. Correct. That, because the Van Halen, I mean, if the argument's really Van Halen and Pearl Jam, those were their first singles ever.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The first time you ever heard Van Halen, it was their cover of You Really Got Me. Same thing with Pearl Jam and Alive.
Yeah.
And you can't replace that first time hearing it. I got into Van Halen a little bit later. There were some older kids. The Van Halen logo, that first album had been around and it was always around and I knew about it. And the older kids in the neighborhood that I hung out with, they're the ones that got me into it. But those two, it was Boston and Van Halen. Those 2 albums were just iconic looking.
Yep.
Everything about them, obviously, AC/DC, and it was all in that space. The other debut album that I wrote down, and laugh all you want, 1978. This one does read like a greatest hits album. The Cars put out one of the greatest debut albums of all time.
Yeah.
There are at least 5 songs on there that everybody knows from the Cars debut album. I love the Cars. I mean, I thought they were a band that just didn't fit anywhere.
No.
I thought they never sounded classic rock. Sometimes a keyboard will do that. A keyboard will give you, sometimes it'll really date you. And then sometimes it puts you in a weird space where it's like, you don't really sound like you belong with a bunch of other bands. And I thought the Cars were just perfect. I love them.
Yeah, that is another one of those bands that you just don't put in a category, really. I mean, you had the Police, the Cars, but even the Police and the Cars are 2 different worlds. But the Cars always had that unique sign. I actually put a little note next to that Cars album. I'm like, well, but the Cars have always been there. I like them. I love a lot of their songs, but it's not something I'm just like, yeah, the fucking Cars, man. Like, it's just a weird band to like, whoa, really hang your hat on, whoa, fucking Weezer, man. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, I like Weezer, but okay.
Good Times Roll. My Best Friend's Girl. This is in order. Now, this is not the Cars' greatest hits. This is the Cars' debut album. Good Times Roll. My Best Friend's Girl. Just What I Needed.
Wow.
Track number 4. Don't You Stop at 5. You're All I've Got Tonight at 6. Moving in Stereo at 8. Okay. Dude.
That's the greatest hits. Basically.
That's one of the best debut albums ever. And it's the Cars.
We don't even talk about it because we stink at this job.
1978.
Yeah. 78 was a weird year for music. We might want to go do a look at 78 one time too, as well. I've got a bunch of ideas that I'm going to forget about for next week, but we're throwing them out now. So, 78 will be an interesting year.
We haven't like arbitrarily picked a year in a long time. You're right. We should probably do that soon. When we're over here scrambling, what are we going to do for a fucking top 5?
None of this will be remembered when we scramble next Tuesday night. Rod, final thoughts?
You know what? I don't. Other than I did have something.
Don't just fucking make it up like you're thinking of something right now. You're going.
I never do. I've never not had a final thought leaving the show. I don't remember what it was. I didn't write it down.
See?
Just really busy right now with the radio station. We just got done with the backpacks and like working on logos and getting ready for Boobs Rock and going right into the next thing. There's no like downtime. Planning a golf tournament, a Boobs Rock golf tournament, doing logos, getting ready. And that's it. We're doing the pre-Labor Day Pride Bikini contest. Dude, we haven't done it since 2018.
Oh, holy
20,
COVID.
2019, we did the pre-Labor Day Pride Bikini contest. It was the last time we did it. Somebody put up a video the other day and Dinah's in it. She's up there with us and we're doing the contest.
Wow.
The girl that won second place in 2019. Okay. She's got like a 4-year-old kid now, right? 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
So well, I'll tell you, I have a time-stamped picture. 9:10. She's on stage with me at 9:10 p.m. Now, when I go to bring her up, she's one of the finalists. Alex, with his big eyes, comes from behind the curtain and says, "We need a minute." She's having contractions. Okay.
Boil some sheets, Rodney.
I go down there and Alex looks like, what the fuck? What is going? He goes, "I think she's going to have a baby right here, dude." I said, "She's not going to have a baby right here."
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that, dude. It's not the movies.
Do it. Her water breaks on stage.
I look at her. I'm like, "Are you good?" She goes, "I might be having this baby soon." And I go, "Let's wrap this up." I go, "Do you got to go?" She goes, "No, wrap it up. Go ahead." So she won second place. Okay. She won second place. 9:10. She's on stage with me. I get a picture time-stamped 6 a.m. the next day. The baby that was in her belly, she's wearing a bikini and high heels on stage with me. She's in a hospital bed with a baby at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, what a night.
Pre-Labor Day Pregnant Bikini Contest. And then the kid comes out the next morning. That's as close as we've ever got it. We've had girls on the way there that had to detour and went to the hospital. They never showed up.
Holy
So
shit.
like one gal, that was before, that was as close as we got. But for a girl showing up and doing it, boom. 9 hours later, from being on stage, 9 hours, there was a kid.
Dude, if there's any girls listening, I got a great idea to really blow the crowd's mind. Take like a water balloon and put it in your bottoms and the backside in your ass. And then when you get on stage, fucking break that water balloon and make it look like your water broke on stage. People will lose their shit.
Or go next level and just like grab like a foot of a baby or something like that and just put it in your just like a foot
hanging out. A doll's foot just hanging out of your fucking.
Oh my God, the kid's foot's hanging out.
I'll be fine.
Just finish the contest. Rod, hurry up, dude. That's a foot. Let's go.
Don't thank all the sponsors. Just give me the fucking trophy.
I'm crowning. Let's go. Give me the flowers.
Wait, here's how dumb we are. If the fucking foot is coming out first,
yeah, you're in big trouble.
Issues. Holy shit.
Yeah, you're in big trouble.
There's a lot of kids with a leg hanging out of her snoot. I'm sure.
So we're doing that next week, next Thursday.
Wow.
The pre-Labor Day Pregnant Bikini Contest. The first one was done Hurricane Katrina, dude. There were people that drove here from Louisiana. There were people that listened to me a year earlier. Okay. 19 years ago, that drove in and they were at the contest. They had driven in just in case Katrina turns out to be, might get a little rain, might get a little flooding going on.
A little wind.
But that's when this thing started, dude. Hurricane Katrina. Because that was Labor Day weekend.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy to think about. The kids running around here like driving cars now and they were in their mom's belly on a stage.
Yeah. Wild. I've met kids. I've met 10-year-olds. I've met 10-year-olds. I think the oldest kid I met was like 12, where I actually talked to him about it. He's like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know." Like the kids looking at me like, "Yeah, I know. I know what mom did. She told me."
Wild. Who gives a shit? It's all good, man.
One of these days, I'm going to have a beer with a kid that was in the belly of the pre-Labor Day Pregnant Bikini Contest. It's not that far off.
That's going to be great when you do it. That's going to be so great, dude. That is going to be fucking awesome. Holy
All right,
shit.
what you got, dude? Talk to any other rock stars that you want to fucking rub in our face that you're so great.
I'm not dropping any more names today. The only thing I wanted to say is, it's that time of year, dude. Happy birthday coming up. Happy birthday, brother. Happy freaking birthday, man. I know you're
Friday.
Getting up there. But you know what? It's birthday time, dude. You gotta when your birthday is coming, right? And I've known you long enough. Do you like, you always have the internal way of looking at your birthday, but then you have your outward appearance. Oh yeah, thanks, man. Happy birthday. Oh, thanks. Cool. Whatever. Yeah. All right. It's my birthday. Some people embrace it and some people are like, who gives a shit? I'm just fucking getting old. Like, how does Rod in his head feel about a birthday?
I never want to be, this is going to sound weird. You're going to say bullshit. I don't want I get that enough with my job, and for 4 hours a day, it's the Rod Ryan show, for God's sakes. After the show, I don't really want a lot of attention on me, to be honest with you.
Right.
I don't, there's nothing worse than standing. If you're in a situation, if you've ever been in your office before and people are singing happy birthday to you, you don't know what the fuck to do. You don't know where to look. You don't know where to put your hands. It is the absolute worst thing in the world. And I'm not saying it because I want it to happen, and it's not going to happen. But being involved, it's like, okay, go out, drink beer. I got a gig. So I have a gig on Friday, and I'm trying to low key it because I'm not doing a shot with every yahoo at the bar. I can't.
No.
But everybody's going to want to do a shot with Rod on his birthday. So I've been really downplaying the birthday thing. I'm good with it. I don't, it doesn't bum me out. It's 54, right? Is it 54?
I mean, come on.
I think it's 54. I don't know. I think it is.
It doesn't
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Is it? No, maybe I'm 53.
Holy shit. Jesus.
2000,
Wow.
30,
It's gonna be a long night.
22. Yeah, I don't know. Shit.
Wow.
I was born in 1969.
Okay. Well, the math is hard, dude. The math is hard, especially when you're on
It's
math.
very difficult. So yeah, I'm good. I'm okay with it. I mean, it doesn't. It's never. I'm just comfortable with my station in life. I have been. I remember when my sister turned 30 and she was devastated. She was 30 because we were just moving down to New Orleans, and she had just turned 30 recently, and she's telling me like how devastated she was. Like at fucking 30. How stupid does that sound when you're 40? So if you're sitting around and you're running around and you're pissed off at 50, you're going to be 60 and say, how dumb was I? I've always taken that to heart when my sister was miserable at 30. Like, looking back on that now, that's the dumbest thing ever. It's always going to seem dumb complaining about your age because you're going to get, God willing, you're going to get older and you're going to wish that you didn't complain about it and you just took advantage of the time that you had.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, especially the older I get, the more I realize time is the only thing that really matters. It is. And I try to value every second way more than I ever used to. I used to just sit around and do dumb shit all the time. Now it's like, okay, wait a minute. If I'm sitting here, what the fuck am I not doing? Let's go do something. Let's make a difference. Let's make a mark. Let's do something. I can't just sit around anymore. I cannot fucking do it. Because in my mind, there's a clock ticking. And the older I get, the more I'm like, time's kind of running out here. This sucks. So that's the way I look at everything, man. And I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, birthdays are kind of silly celebrating them because, at the end of the day, mom and dad got drunk. And here you are at the end of the day. That's it. You didn't do shit to earn it. You didn't nothing. You got the lucky lottery. You're like every one of us like a 1 in a bazillion chance of absolutely happening. So like, hey, mom and dad, thank God for booze. That's it. You celebrate a victory like, hey, Rod's first day in radio. That should be your milestone, or your first day of this, or that big thing you accomplished. Like, celebrate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why we do it. I get it. You're born.
The only thing that I do, and I use my birthday, if I have to like guilt people into hanging out with me on my birthday, I will use my birthday for that. I don't want to be, but if I haven't seen people in a long time, I'll be like, hey, it's my birthday. You got to come. You got to come. Do not fucking bring a present. But yeah, if I can guilt people to kind of come and hang out, I'll use it for that. But then everybody, it's like, hey, geez, why haven't we been together? There really hasn't been like this big, huge get together. You had a big birthday and that was cool with a lot of people together. But I'm talking about here in Houston, like there really hasn't been one thing that like everybody has gotten back together. It's been still weird since the pandemic, Well,
it's hard.
It's still weird.
Traveling's a little hard now, and finances for people is weird and all that stuff. But yeah, I remember, last year, my birthday, my wife put together a surprise. You came in, a bunch of friends came in, and you're right. I just felt weird all night. I felt awkward. I loved it. I appreciate the shit out of it. I'll never forget it. But that whole everyone's singing happy birthday to you around the cake, kind of felt that way the whole night. I felt like, oh, this is all for me.
What
felt
do I
weird.
do with my hands?
Like I didn't. Like I don't want it to be.
What do I look at?
Somebody else. I want it to be about somebody else. I don't want it to be on me. I don't like it.
Yes.
I don't like it. So yeah. Well, happy birthday, brother. And you know what? We'll keep doing podcasts. That's my gift to you. We'll do another
4 weeks in a row.
We're doing all right.
All right.
Yep.
Check us out. If you hit us up on all the socials at Playpants Pod. And we've got a YouTube channel, and smash and subscribe and play along with us on these lists that we do. I love seeing when you guys put your lists together. What are your top 5 favorites? Whatever. Tell us that our lists suck, but back it up. Don't just tell us our list sucks, or you got to back it up with your list and then fight for it. Tell me why. Why is your list better? I'm all about it because nobody's wrong. We always use that phrase. What is your favorite?
Yeah.
So, it gets you out of, this one sold more albums than this one. Who gives a shit?
Those conversations are.
It matters what album you bought and what you liked. So that's what gets you out of all of that stuff. But yeah, play along with us, man. Put your top 5s. You guys did a great job of sharing your high school movies with us. That one cool. Really resonated with a lot of people, and that was good to see people's lists. So I enjoyed that. And then if you have an idea for a top 5, send those. You can email me directly, hit us up on any of the socials, and we'll check all that stuff out. That's it. Okay, that's it. I'm sick of your face.
Yeah, next week you'll be older. All right, happy birthday.
Later.
Let's go. It's time. Put on Playpants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at Playpants Pod.